Okay, so my name is Patti Robitaille, and I am an outreach representative for Guide Dogs for the Blind. Guide Dogs for the Blind has two campuses. It is in San Rafael, California, is our largest campus, and Portland, Oregon is our smaller campus. They both have essentially the same programs, and they have the same way of developing and uh, acquiring clients as well as their dogs. And the only difference in the two campuses is one is kind of more of the inner city, which is the San Rafael campus, because that's close to Oakland, California. So it's a really busy area up there, where outside of Portland, it's called Boring, Oregon. And I guess to some people it might be boring because it's a lot quieter and more of a suburbia kind of environment. So depending on what your needs are, if you are an inner city kind of a person and that's where you live and work and live your life, you would probably want to select the San Rafael campus. If you live more in outside of the city and in just a quieter area that has some houses and less businesses, you would probably pick the Portland campus. So with that said, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the history of guide dogs for the blind. Guide Dogs for the Blind is approximately, well, I better not say it that way. I better say it began in 1942. My addition skills or subtraction skills may not be as accurate as just saying when it opened. It started out as a little tiny office, and it started right after World War II. And the reason being, it was to help servicemen who had become blind because of the war situation or something that happened during that period of time, and they were losing their sight. So one of the people that started the program was really interested in training dogs to help assist these men to get around and use the regular kinds of lifestyle things to successfully be a part of the community. So they trained these dogs and worked with the men, and as it became more and more successful, guide dogs grew and grew and grew. And now it is the largest school in the United States. It serves all of the United States as well as Canada. Once in a while, they go outside of North America and go into other areas if need be, but that's fairly rare. Until this pandemic, all of the training has gone on at one of the campuses. Now there's some minimal training going on away from campus because the campuses are not open because of the pandemic. So we are using residences that are close to the schools that are needing to gain training to get a guide dog. It's kind of been slow in developing, And hopefully, as everything starts to become a little bit more open, we'll be able to do some different things. Um, right now, I'm not quite sure what those are. I know that we're looking at maybe opening up a class of 1 or 2 students within the campuses, but as of yet, I don't think that's happened. So, moving along, I'm just going to say that, uh, tell you a little bit about getting a guide dog. So, if you decide that you are interested in possibly getting a guide dog, you would either call our number, our 800 number, and talk to admissions about sending you an application or helping you fill it out on the phone or directing you on how to go online and fill it out. Once you fill out that application, what happens is they ask for several other things to go along with that application. One of them being an ophthalmologist or optometrist basically saying that you are legally blind, 2200 or less. Another thing is they want a doctor to give you a physical to show that you are able to, walk successfully for about a mile a day and manage a guide dog. And so those kinds of things need to be verified before they can consider you as a client. So after those processes are done, they usually send a person out to your home to give a personal interview with you. Now, they're not doing that right now. I think they're doing everything over the phone. But in regular times, they do send somebody out. And what happens there is they verify where you live and the fact that you are trained in some good mobility skills, and you can do a route from your home using a signaled street and then coming back home so that you know your way around your community. That's really important because when you get a guide dog, the dog doesn't know where to go unless you can direct him. So it's really important that you have some really good mobility skills, which I know you can get at Braille, and you can get them at other colleges and community programs. So once those things are all taken care of, then they look at your lifestyle, where you live, where you work, where you do your daily adventures, and then they kind of help you decide if you would benefit more from the Oregon campus being a little quieter, or maybe the other campus in San Rafael being a little bit more busy. So if you lived in downtown Los Angeles, for example, you would definitely want to go to the San Rafael campus. Same with Seattle, Washington, or Chicago, New York or any of those kind of places that's mostly inner city, you would want to do that San Rafael campus. Um, some of the other places may be more, not necessarily rural, but suburbs. You would maybe want to consider the Oregon one. Or you may want to just take the one that's available first, which a lot of people tend to do, because any of the training is going to be very beneficial and very much the same. So anyway, so once you have a visitor to your home and they assess your walking pace, they assess the fact that you can go out into the community and cross a street that is contains a signal, then they think that you're good to go. And so then they put you on the list and try to get you in as soon as possible. So it's really an exciting time. It's very hard to wait, because once you know that you're accepted, it's like you want to go yesterday. So, but, and I can't say right now what the wait time is or how they're going to do the training, in the very near future. But it normally takes anywhere from about 4 to 6 months waiting time before you are contacted. But again, all of that could change. So we're just kind of waiting on this virus to leave us, and then we can get back to normal. So that's kind of the process of getting a guide dog and the history. Now we want to talk about some of the little nuts and bolts of things. The program is 2 weeks of training, and it's every day for the first week, and the second week it's 6 days, and then the 7th day they have a graduation, and you have your dog and you graduate from guide dog school. And it's very emotional, because usually the puppy raisers that have raised the guide dogs at the very beginning of their lives come and watch you graduate with this dog that they have spent 14 months of their time training and working with this dog, and are truly attached to the dog.
Patty,
Yes.
it's Wanda. I can see that one of our participants has her hand raised. Um,
Okay.
can you take a question from Jane? Jane, please state your question.
Hi. So, I just had a couple of questions about the root process. I currently don't live in an area, or live in an area that doesn't have any signal, and there are no sidewalks and a lot of T intersections.
Mhm.
However, I am a college student, and my most of my work currently is virtual, but I do attend a fairly large I used to attend a fairly large campus. Can the interview be done anywhere? Does it have to be your home?
No, does not. Yeah, we're very flexible about that. And frankly, your mobility person has already verified that you have good mobility skills, and probably you wouldn't even be on a college campus if you didn't have some pretty good mobility skills. So I don't think that would be an issue at all. But thank you for the question. Did you have another one?
Oh,
No, thank you so much.
okay. Thank you so much, Patty.
Okay. Um, okay, so anyway, so the program, I always have to remember where I stopped. The program lasts approximately 2 weeks of training. And like I said, it's pretty intense. Um, and but and you work very hard with your dog, but you see the progress as you're going on. And it's very, very amazing the progress you make. So it's it's something that once you've completed those 2 weeks, you either get on an airplane or in a car or whatever, and you go home, and you and your dog are starting out with your new lives together. The one thing I do want to say is that when you are in training, they have a really good program, not only for the working with the dog, but for your comfort as well. They have, it's of course all residential. You have your own room, your own bathroom. They provide 3 meals a day and really, really good food. And um, so it is, you feel like in a lot of ways, yes, you're working hard, but yes, you're also being pampered in that way, because you do have such good home cooking and a nice place to relax. So that's and that's all free. There's no cost for that at all. They will fly you or pay for another mode of transportation for you to come up to their facilities and then return home. If you have any questions, you can call them anytime. They have a support center that will answer and help you out as much as they can over the phone, which most of them are so knowledgeable, it's usually able to happen. But if not, they will send somebody personally out to your house or to your where you live or work or wherever you're having the problem with your dog, and they will help you work through it. And those are some services that most guide dog schools do not provide. Um, another service that the most or that most guide dog schools do not provide is veterinary assistance. So when you take your dog to the vet for either physicals or something that has gone wrong, they will financially assist you in paying for that. So the things that they really expect you to do is use your dog in uh, the way you've been trained with him. Also, take him out at least once a day for a mile or so that he can retain his skills, and relieve him and feed him as needed, and groom him as needed. So the physical care of the dog is definitely yours, and they will assist you in everything else that you will need. They also, during the training sessions, will guide you and show you how to groom your dog, what to feed them, how much to give them. They even provide you with the measuring tools in order to take home with you so that you always give them the right amount of food. So everything is really covered in the training process, whether it be care or guiding or any of the other needs that you and the dog might have.
Patty,
Yes.
someone has written in the chat a question, and I don't know if you can speak to this now or at some point about the monthly costs of owning a guide dog. If you have any information like that you might be able to share.
Okay, so the monthly cost, uh, so the pretty much the monthly cost would be the food primarily. You can groom your dog at home. You don't have to take it anywhere or pay to have him groomed. So the only thing it would be the food. And they tell you the kind of food that you should buy because the dog has been on that food and it agrees with them and all of that. So that's kind of an individual thing. I don't know the prices of a lot of the dog foods, but the dry kibble is what you would be responsible for. The flea medicine, the heartworm, or any other kinds of medication that you would need for your dog would be covered by Guide Dogs for the Blind. So the only thing would be you need to have the dog usually takes a cup of food 2 times a day. So that would be 2 cups of food per day that you would be financially responsible for, and any treats that you would want to give them. Now, we do kind of discourage very many treats because they are highly caloric, just like humans' treats are highly caloric, and they're not that good for them. So when they use treats as a reward, they usually try to use kibble or the dog food that they're eating instead of dog cookies or something like that. So I can't really say. I know, well, I don't know. I know you buy the bags of dog food by the weight. And so it all depends on what weight bag you buy as to how long it will last you and how much it costs. So, but I would just say, I'm going to say it's definitely under, I'm going to say it's basically under $50 a month.
Thank you, Patty.
Sure. So anyway, let's see. So the guide dog lifestyle is a really great lifestyle, but it's not a lifestyle for everybody. It does require a lot of attention and care for the dog. You need to relieve it and feed it and brush it and walk it every day. So it is a commitment that you have to make if you want to have a guide dog. There's a lot of people that don't want that commitment. You know, they can use a cane. They can come in the house, or in their room, and they can fold up the cane and they can put it in the corner and they don't have to deal with it again until they want to go somewhere. And that's not the case with a guide dog. You have to continue meeting his needs, whether you're going somewhere or whether you're not. So it is not necessarily something that everybody would want to do. Also, it's not, having a dog is not anything that you can go somewhere without being noticed or recognized. You can't sneak in or sneak out because everybody wants to see your dog. Everybody wants to pet your dog. Everybody wants to talk to you about the dog that they have and how it is like your dog or not like your dog. So you can't go incognito anywhere. And they will always remember you because you're not one of the masses. You have a dog and you stand out. So if you don't like being in that limelight, again, that would not be something that you might want to choose. But the plus of a guide dog is you can go somewhere faster. You can be safer because your guide dog keeps you out of paths or areas that are not safe. They keep you away from obstacles that could harm you or you could run into. So the guide dog keeps you away from things while the cane takes you to locate those things so that then you decide to move around them. So it's a little bit different scenario with each kind of mobility. A guide dog will be there through thick and thin, and however, whenever, I mean, you're with him, he's bonded with you, he wants to please you, and he just wants to be with you, whether you're walking somewhere and he's guiding you, or whether you're just hanging out at home by the couch, on the couch, or in bed or whatever. He just wants to be near you because they are very dedicated to their owners. So, so that's kind of the pros and cons as to having a guide dog. So we've talked about being ready for a guide dog, owning a guide dog. Now let's talk about kind of the places you can go with a guide dog. A guide dog that is in harness and on a leash with you can go to any public area or building that you can go to. That is an ADA mandate. If it is a private facility or private home or something like that, the people that own that place have the option to deny a guide dog coming in. In my experience, I have never had that happen. Number one, a guide dog, as long as you keep to the training and keep to the rules, will always be by your side, will lay at your feet, will not get into any kind of situations that they should not be into, because their job and their training is to be by your side. So I have never seen or heard of that being a problem anywhere. The only thing you have to be careful of is making sure that you keep food away from the dog, because these dogs, we either use Labradors, Golden Retrievers, or crosses, and those breeds are very food oriented. So if you leave something on a table and you go to the restroom or you get up to go answer the phone, some of those dogs will stand up and kind of help themselves to whatever you've left on the table. Now, I have never had that problem with, I've had 2 dogs, and I have never had that problem. They will beg for things, but they will not take things off the table. The dog I have now, if I drop something on the floor, he will not even go after it. My first dog did, but this dog will not until he either gets permission or to get it, or I pick it up and throw it away. So they're very trained animals, but food is a huge temptation for them. So you do have to be aware of that. So the life of a guide dog is usually, I think an average is like 12 years for a dog. It's a very stressful job that these dogs have. And you don't think of it as being that way, but when they go out to lead you, they are totally 100% on alert. They're totally watching and making sure that, you know, you're going in the right direction. You're avoiding obstacles with their help. You're stopping at curbs. They're showing you where stairways are. And so many other just little things that come out during a walk in the city or in the community. So they're constantly on to be at the top of their game so that nothing happens to you. It is amazing. I don't know if many of you have seen or been around to observe how guide dogs work, but they are amazing animals that have been trained and truly have a dedication to you. They start out their lives, first of all, before their lives, Guide Dog for the Blind breeds all of their own dogs. And when the mother has carried the puppies to the number of weeks they need to, they bring the mother to the kennel, the birthing kennel at the San Rafael campus. And that dog stays there with her babies for the first 2 months of the babies' lives. They work with the dogs, and the trainers work with the dogs, and the mothers nurse their dogs and get them ready to go on into a different kind of a life. Once they hit that 2-month-old mark, the 8 weeks, then they go into volunteer homes that are called puppy raisers. And we have them throughout the United States. And they usually have a group of them in different areas so that it kind of gets to be a social situation with the puppy raisers and the puppies, because they go out and they expose them to all different kinds of things. They expose them to buses, to trains, to planes, to parks, to theaters, to football games, to any place that you can think of going. They take these puppies there so that they can learn how to successfully exist in the world. Once they get to be about 14 months old, when the puppy raisers have had them about a year, they go back to Guide Dogs for the Blind. And for the next anywhere from 2 to 4 months, they are trained in specific skills like knowing right and left, forwards and backwards, just general commands that you would need your dog to know when you are walking with him. And they work with one trainer throughout the whole time so that he bonds with this trainer, and and uh, that way he kind of gathers all the experience he needs, as well as learning the specific commands and working with those commands. And then they are tested on everything. And unfortunately, only about 44% of these dogs pass the criteria for being a guide dog. It is the toughest criteria of any training in the service dog world. So 44% are would be waiting for somebody to come and be the right fit for this dog. Again, I mentioned like size. You don't want to have a huge dog with a 5-foot female that weighs 100 pounds. Or you don't want a 6'4" man to have a dog that maybe weighs 40 pounds. So they go by size, they also and weight. They also go by walking pace. There are dogs that walk really, really fast, and then there are dogs that kind of have a normal pace, and then there's dogs that are slow. And so if you're older, you would probably prefer more of a slower dog than you were one that could make it down the block in 10 seconds. But then again, if you're a college student, you would probably have a much faster walking pace. So all those things are taken into consideration. They look at where the dog's going to live. If a dog is a little sensitive to noise, they're not going to put him in the inner city where there's a lot of congestion and traffic and noise, because it would be a lot more stressful for that dog than if he could be in a suburb somewhere. And there's multitudes of decisions to make as they pick a dog for the person that's going to train with him. So anyway, after you go through the training and everybody is on their way to their own lives, they put you back on a plane or a bus or a train or however you got there, and they send you home with this dog that you are going to work with for it's usually an average of about 7 to 9 years that you will work with your dog. After that, the dog starts getting older. He's starting to get a little more hesitant about wanting to go out as much. He's getting a little distracted, maybe. So he's not as excited to work with as he was before. And that's when you kind of realize, and you call GDB and you say, I don't know if he's getting older and doesn't want to work, or if we can have somebody come out and reemphasize some of the skills, or what we should do. So they usually send somebody out to help evaluate your dog to decide if it is time to retire him, or if it's just some sort of issue that needs to be retrained. But it's usually around 7 to 9 years of age is when that happens. My first dog retired when she was just about 10, and she didn't get up and want to and come to the door when it was time to go walking, or she was, you could just tell she was tired and she wanted to just be a dog. So once that happens, I put my name in and went through the same criteria again to get a second dog. And there's no shortcuts in no matter how many dogs you have. You still have to have the same skills and you still have to go through the same training, and because it's just best for everybody. So once you retire your dog, you have the option of keeping him as a pet or rehoming him somewhere else. You can rehome him with a family member that he knows, that you know. You can give him back to GDB, and chances are the puppy raiser that raised him would love to have him back. Or they will find somebody else that will take the dog. There's no problem in getting a new home for these dogs because they are such good dogs. So there's a big waiting list for people that want these dogs. So, and with the vet care being paid for, then there's no issue as far as extra cost, or there might be a little extra care, but no extra cost. So that's what happens. And then you go on with your life and get a second dog. Now, with my first dog, we kept her, and she lived till she was 12. We had her another year, 2.5 years. And she was not sad when she would see my other dog go out with me in harness. She, I think, was just glad she didn't have to do that anymore. So that's kind of the whole scenario of the guide dog training and life. I've given you a lot of information in a short amount of time. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. And if you have some down the road, Wanda has my email and my phone number and everything, that I would be happy to talk with you on a one-to-one.
Oh, and Patty, thank you for saying that, because what I will do as a follow-up to this session is I will provide your contact information and anything else that you wish to share with everyone who's in attendance with our workshop today. So everyone can expect to get a follow-up email from me. And I'm looking here in the chat, Patty, and it looks like someone has made mention of an assistance dog special allowance program, ADSA. If eligible, there's some monthly amount that is available. Are you knowledgeable about that? And can you share anything about that, Patty?
I'm not
Okay.
knowledgeable about that. I'm not sure where that comes from.
Well, the writer is our very own instructor, and that's Kima McClung. And I don't know if you know Kima, but Kima, if you're there, can you tell us a little bit about that that program?
I know that you can apply online, and if you're eligible, it's a $50 a month payment to you that helps to pay for the cost of your guide dog. So not everyone is eligible, but for those who are, it's through the California Department of Social Services, the Assistance Dog Special Allowance Program. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And we can, I will also make a note of that in the follow-up email that we make available to everyone. Thank you for that, Kima. Looks like we have another question. There's a hand raised, and I would like to have Martin go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Patty. Very interesting. I am looking to speak with a mobility instructor. Are there such people at San Rafael or Boring or in San Diego with the and
Well,
Kima, are you an instructor?
great
So
question.
I'll go mute now.
So Martin, you're in the right place, and yes, we do at Braille Institute have our own orientation and mobility specialist. Kima, you want to say hi to Malcolm, and I'll be sure and include information about you as well in that email.
Okay, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Are you, I just wonder, Malcolm, are you looking at that as to gain mobility skills or?
Oh, it's Martin. You're speaking to Martin, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, Martin. Yes.
Hi, Patty. This is a very specific request from somebody who is looking for a mobility instructor who has a foundation and works with guide dogs.
Ah.
And here's the other kicker. The position available, which is a paying position, expenses paid, airfare, etc., is in Uruguay, Montevideo. So
I see.
Very unique.
Is it for
indeed
a single person or a group or?
Well, it could be a number of combinations.
Okay.
Probably preferred is a single individual. And maybe we can take this off the meeting and follow up.
Right.
Yeah, well, what I would like to suggest is I will send out that email, and Martin, I know I have your email address, and I can put you in contact with Patty. Also put you in contact with our O&M instructor, Kima, who is on the phone, and both might be able to be a resource to help you with what you're looking to do.
Many thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Great. Let's see. Did we have any other hands raised? Well, seeing none.
I just opened my mic because I don't know how to raise my hand.
Oh, okay. You go ahead. And this time it is Malcolm. You go ahead, Malcolm.
Yes. Thank you, Wanda. I've heard that with the guide dogs, seeing eye dogs, that as soon as you put the harness on, they're all business and it's down to work. If and when you take the harness off, is there like playtime where, like with a Labrador, they love to retrieve things? You could play catch with the ball and everything, or is it just strictly business only? Do you take them out for a walk without the harness, or no?
Yes, absolutely. A dog needs to play, retrieve, fetch, play, wrestle with you, play with other dogs. Be a regular dog at some part of the day.
Cool.
It helps relieve their stress. It helps them be a more well-balanced dog. It keeps them socialized so that they know appropriate behaviors. And it is true, once they put that harness on, they know what their job is. So, but with my dog, my husband, because I'm totally blind. So my husband takes our dog every day in the morning to the park, to our park. And there's several, it's not a dog park. They don't recommend you take guide dogs to dog parks. But if you go to our regular park has a few neighbors that bring their dogs over, and they're all family dogs. So they're very gentle and very very well behaved. And the dogs run around and jump and play and fetch
and be
do
dogs.
all the things that dogs like to do. So yes, that's a great question.
So it's okay to take them off the harness on, put them on a leash for a walk.
Absolutely.
Okay,
And
then
to play, I have lots of toys for my dog too. So he's not a fetcher. I wish he was, but he's not. But he loves to chew on nyla bones and different toys that he has. And yeah, they definitely need more of that time than the actual working time in a harness.
okay, and then follow up to, you were talking about how people want to see and pet your dog. When they're in the harness, is it okay to have people approach and pet the dog, or is it not wise?
What I do, like I said before, if I'm like standing in a line and we're not on our way somewhere, or he's not actually guiding me at that moment, I don't mind people coming up and petting him. Like the other day, we were at the market and there were, you had to stand there and wait your turn in line.
Mhm.
And so a couple of little girls came up and asked if they could pet my dog. And so it was fine. I was fine with that because we were just standing still. But if we were on our way walking out the door, I would have said, not now. He's working.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I can just comment on that as well, Patty, because that's a very good question, Malcolm. And at Braille Institute, when we're in our normal format and we're able to gather at our center, we do train our volunteers, staff, and students as well to not engage with the guide dog when they're on our campus, because the dog is working and they are, helping their individual, person. And so we ask that others not interact or interfere or throw off the process by being overly friendly with the guide dog while they're at our center. And I like your answer, Patty, because it is a case by case basis. Sounds like for each individual and what they're comfortable with. But
Right.
at our center, as a general rule, and Kima knows this very well because she has trained all of us and trained all of our volunteers and given many lessons on sighted guide technique to not engage the guide dog because they are working.
That's right. That's right. And, guide dogs are so good too, because when I've gone places such as Braille Institute, I mean, most of the time, or a lot of the time, you are walking from one place to another. And so you wouldn't want to disrupt that process with the dog and its owner. Then at the same time, though, that some of the dogs, once they get to the place where they need to go with their uh, their owners, then they kind of crawl up and go to sleep under the table, so you don't even know that they're there.
Mm.
So their behaviors are wonderful, but if you did go in and disturb that dog, he's going to be like a regular dog. The minute he sees you another time, he's going to expect the same greeting that he got the first time. So you do have to watch it and be careful.